Right now it's time for our B team, our high beam. I'm sorry, at 8:30. It shows you how often I do this. Here in the studio is Rick Hannegan from Operation Lifesaver, and tell us. I understand they've had a birthday lately. They've been around a while. Tell us a little bit about that organization.
Right. Okay. Operation Lifesaver is in its 50th year this year, and it was started in Idaho, believe it or not, by 3 train crew, engineers, conductors, whatnot, that were just kind of disheartened and dismayed over the amount of carnage they saw as they went about their daily jobs. Back 50 years ago, there were about 12,000 incidences where people, walked in front of a train, drove their car in front of the train, or were killed or injured. And now that number's down to something like 1,900.
Still, that's 1,900 that amazes me based on, again, a lot of that has to do with 50 years ago, there wasn't the concentration on gates and things like that across the country, especially in the rural areas. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah. 50 years ago, it was a totally different playing field out there, if you would. There were probably more trains and more track and more unprotected crossings. So, yeah, there were more opportunities for exposure to something like that. But still, as you say, it's 1,900 needless incidents if people would just have some better situational awareness and pay attention to what's going on around them.
Now, what you do with this organization, tell us a little bit. You go around and do some safety talks? Right.
We have, let me back up a tad. It used to be that the Operation Lifesaver membership was a mix of people that were paid to do it because they were railroad employees, and instead of going out and doing their job that day, they'd go do public speaking and do the presentations, and then some of it was just volunteer efforts. And now it's almost entirely all volunteers because the railroads have become increasingly busy over about the past 5 years. So we do this just A, because we like trains, and B, we don't want to see anybody hurt or killed just through lack of knowledge on their part. So we've got a PowerPoint slideshow that can be tailored to basically any age group, from kindergartners all the way up through old folks like Robert and I.
Watch it.
Yeah, too late now. And it lasts, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour maybe, if people have a lot of questions that require some degree of technical finesse to answer. And it's not heavy-handed or anything. It just shows you a little bit of what goes on around a railroad and things you may not be aware of. Like, for instance, track gauge is 4'8.5", and the cars stick out 3 feet on either side of that. So you've got 10, 12 feet is the width envelope of that train, and if you're closer than that, then you're put yourself in danger.
Oh, absolutely. Talk a little bit about Ohio in itself. Are we high, low, medium as far as in regards to comparison to the rest of the United States and train accidents?
Okay, sure. Whenever there's an accident or an incident, the railroad has to fill in a form. Of course, this all goes into the Federal Railroad Administration in D.C., so it's bureaucracy at its finest. And the form actually has just about everything on there except what the crew had for breakfast. It's an incredibly detailed piece of paper. So for collisions and fatalities, and this is only for the first 3 months of 2021 because, the paper takes a while to flow. Ohio ranked number 9. 75 collisions, which resulted in 8 deaths and 19 injuries. And this is basically just grade crossing occurrences.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt, but are these crossings that have gates, or is there a differentiation on the statistics as to if it doesn't have any kind of gates?
Yeah, what I've got, or what I printed out, is just it doesn't discriminate between the two, but if you get into the FRA's website, you can spend just basically days trying to do any kind of research because of the level of detail. And most of the crossings are what we call passive crossings. There's just the advance warning sign, the yellow sign with the X and the 2 R's on it, and maybe a stop bar on the pavement, and then the traditional crossbuck at the track. And those are things you'd find on the lesser used streets. farmers crossings, that sort of thing. And then once you get into the busier roads, you'll have gates and bells and the flashing lights, and those are active crossings and are pretty expensive to install and maintain.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of still rural roads around that just have just the crossing with the signs, and basically you're on your own to look. And I know a lot of people don't even slow down at those.
No, you're just used to the railroad being there. It's there, and you don't think much about it. And maybe 100 trips over that crossing, you never see a train. And that 101st trip, well, look at that.
Yeah.
Now what am I going to do?
Well, another thing that helps get your word out, you're part of Safe Communities Coalition and you travel around also when pre-pandemic and hopefully post-pandemic, whenever that may be, to put the word out. You've taught at the Teen Challenge for the driving.
The rodeo.
Rodeo, I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, the rodeo. And other things involved the safe community. So that's a way to get the word out. But if somebody wants to get a hold of you and have you put on a seminar, how do they get a hold of you?
Okay, the easiest way is to go to the organization's website. We're a nonprofit educational one. It's oli.org, and there'll be a tab on there you can click that says Request a Presentation. And then our state coordinator over in Toledo will get it, and then he'll get a hold of me, and I'll get a hold of you, and we'll set something up. And it's free.
Yeah, that's
the best part.
The big thing. Yeah, and there's all the kind of different things that are free for seminars and things for safety that people need to be able to have available to them, and this is one of them. And I think it's really important for the young drivers to understand the railroad situation. You send out a lot of times on your Facebook page some of the accidents and things, and it's not just a car. It could be a motorcycle. It could be a semi-truck, and all those things. And it's not just getting stuck on the tracks. It's avoiding the gates. It's just going across without looking, and it just amazes me that there's still 1,900 of them in the country.
Yeah, for as big as a train is, the horn's loud when they're coming to the crossing. The lights on the front of the locomotive flash, and you ask yourself, how could they not have seen the train coming? But it happens.
And they think they can stop on a dime, and sometimes it takes them a while to stop, and not just screech into the tires and it stops. It takes a while.
Right, yeah, the railroads today use the same air braking system that George Westinghouse developed back in the late 1800s. So a train that's moving along about 50 miles an hour will take close to a mile to get stopped.
Wow. Rick Hannegan, I want to thank you for coming in today. Operation Lifesaver. If you need to know anything about trains and you want to have a seminar at your function that doesn't cost you a thing, again, Rick, how do they get a hold of you? What's the website?
oli.org.
Thanks, Rick. And that's the B Team Morning Show this morning on Big Hits at WBTC.